And then I went by a few years ago and somebody wrote underneath, who the fuck is Dolph? I was always big. You know, that's the thread that goes through my life. I'm big for my age. I'm 81, and I'm big for my age. Tall for my age. I remember when I was 9 years old, I loved to go to the movies, and I went to, and I was almost 6 feet tall at 9 years old.
Wow.
And I'd love to go to the Lowe's Paradise on Grand Concourse. And of course, if you remember the Lowe's movies, they were palaces. You know, the great gingerbread trim all over, and the carpeting, and this one had when you went into the main place, the main officer where you sat, it had a sky where you could. Right. Well, it was fancy, so you couldn't get in if you were 14 years or unless you were 14. But if you were younger than 14, you had to be accompanied by an adult. That's the way they did it. So I'm waiting outside. I'm 9 years old, waiting, you know, for somebody to take me in. And a little kid, about 6 or 7, walks up, or 8, and he looks at me. He said, "Hey, mister, would you take me in?" I played basketball at Creston Junior High School, organized at Leewood Clinton High School. Then I got a scholarship to NYU. Then from NYU, there's an NYU guy. So I sing the alma mater. Oh, grim gray palisades, thy shadow. I'm not a singer, right?
Why didn't you go to CCNY?
And then when I graduated, I got drafted into professional basketball. I had a degree in engineering. And I said, well, I'll play pro ball for a year. This is 1948. And there were 2 leagues at the time, the BAA, which was the big cities, and there was a small league in the Middle West called the National League. And I figured pro ball, I'll play 1 year, and that'll be it. Then go on with my life. And the Knickerbockers offered, I was their first round draft choice, they offered me $5,000.
Whoa.
But in 1948, that wasn't so bad. And the team in Syracuse offered me, and I was the first round draft choice of that league, offered me $7,500. So I figured, for 1 year, I'll take the extra money. Because $2,500, $100 a week in 1948 was a lot of money, believe me. So I went up to Syracuse, and I played there for 16 years.
Wow.
And then they merged into the NBA a year later, and 16 years, and then I coached for about 5 or 6 years. And then I had a son who played for 18 years. And you know, I mentioned my son. I have a wonderful wife with Syracuse. When I left to come down here, she said that, you know, as I was walking out the door, she said, "Hey, legend, don't forget to take out the garbage." There's something to earn my keep, right? And I have 4 wonderful children. I have, of course, Deborah, my first. She's a math tutor in Stamford, Connecticut. She grew to be 5'6". And then I have a daughter in Syracuse, and she's a chiropractor, and she grew to be 6 feet tall. And then I have my first son, David, 6'6". He helps me with my business. I own a bunch of apartments. I like the business. The first of the month I go, I knock on the door, they see this big guy, they always give me the rent. And then my last was Danny. Danny was one who played sitting for 18 years in the NBA. And he's 7 feet tall.
Wow.
And that's my baby.
Wow.
So if you're paying attention, each child arithmetically was 6 inches taller than the last. So I figured, Naomi, let's have one more. A 7'6" too. I mean, that's pretty good. No, but one of the reasons I didn't do it, I read in National Geographic that every 5th child born in the world is Chinese. You know what I mean? You know, not only that, I mean, who's going to talk to the kid? I don't speak Chinese. But that's my wonderful family. I have 9 grandchildren. They're terrific. Beautiful. I have some beautiful granddaughters. Anyhow, so
How tall were you at your tallest?
I was 5'20". So I'm 6 feet 8. 6 feet 8. I'm shrinking now. My wife hits me on the head once in a while. But I'm about 6'6" now. Right. And I've played the NBA for many, many years. And the NBA today, you know, is not a haven for Jewish players. There are 2 Jewish players in the NBA today. One is Jordan Farmar. He plays for the LA Lakers. You wouldn't think he was Jewish because he's African American. His mother was Jewish, his father African American, but because of matrilineal descent, he's considered Jewish, and he was bar mitzvahed and all of that stuff. And another player who just got into the league, his name is Crespi. Omar Crespi, C-R-E-S-P-I. He's from Israel. He's 6'9". He played for Sacramento Kings. And he's a very good player and he's doing well. So what you have a lot of in the NBA today are Jewish owners. Almost half of the owners of teams in the NBA are Jewish. I mean, these guys are loaded. I mean, they've got lots of money, believe me. And I could name them all off, but there's like 15 or 16. And one of them is down here in Miami. That's the Arison family, Mickey Arison. And and the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers, whatever. There's a whole bunch of them. And when I played, there were several Jewish owners. There was Eddie Gottlieb of Philadelphia Warriors. There was Ben Kerner of the St. Louis Hawks. And there was Lester Harrison.
Ed Poland.
Yes, right. But when I played, okay, right. I retired when Abe Poland just, okay, whatever.
Bill
yeah.
Davidson.
Bill Davidson, yeah, well, I'm right. You guys know more than I do. Okay. So, Eddie Gottlieb, there's a story about him. He had a player named Neil Johnston. He was a raw bone kid. Neil
Hold up the
Johnston.
mic.
What's that? Hold it up. Okay. Okay, so his name was Neil Johnston. And Eddie was considered very penurious, which means he held on to his money pretty good. So this Neil Johnston made $5,000, and then he led the league in scoring. So the next year he wants a raise, and he sees Eddie Gottlieb, and he says, Eddie, I had a great year, and yes, you did. Paul Arison, you know, he's the best player, but I led the league in scoring. Paul Arison makes $18,000 a year. I won $18,000 from 5,000. So Eddie Gully takes out the keys because he kept all the keys to the whole operation. He says, "Here, Neil, now you own the team."